In April, I went back. My A1C was down to 5.2. I feel lighter. I feel happier. I feel like I have more energy to put into things that I want to, whereas before my day was literally work all day and go to bed sad. And I actually want to play with my kids. I'm actually lifting more now, eating plant-based than I did 10 years ago, eating a heavy animal diet, which I think is amazing. I didn't think it could happen. I was diagnosed January of 2017, so just barely over a year ago. I found out because I had applied for life insurance, and they came out and did some lab work, and I was denied life insurance. Before then, basically, I knew I was overweight, living a very what's the word, sedentary. I have a hard time saying that. A desk job. I wasn't very active. I tried to go to the gym, couldn't lose weight. And I was eating a very meat-heavy, just typical American diet. So I was diagnosed with an A1C of 9.2 and immediately put on 3 different medications. I was diagnosed with PCOS in my early 20s, but there was never given any education that they could turn to diabetes. I needed to, look at lifestyle. It was just, oh, you have this, you're always going to have a hard time with weight, and that was it. They gave me the blood sugar, the Lancet, and the device. No education whatsoever, just come back in 3 months. I actually had to go to the pharmacy. And thankfully I had a little bit of medical background. I used to be a medical assistant. So I knew how to give myself the injections. I knew just enough. But that was very disappointing. He didn't say anything about dietary. He didn't even tell me to count carbs, nothing. Just I'll see you in 3 months. Before that, I was actually eating paleo, thinking I was eating really healthy. Both me and my husband had done paleo for about a year, but it was very meat heavy. So, we cut out all the processed. We weren't eating grains. Obviously, that wasn't working. After about a week, after the shock kind of wore off, I went onto Facebook. I started joining groups. I started going online, like what's the best diet for diabetics. And there was so much information out there. I was so confused. I did not make changes right away. It wasn't until February that I'd started reading like the China study, came across like Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. And there was still a lot of conflicting information because the groups that I found on Facebook were all Atkins, low carb, high protein, and that just didn't feel right intuitively. So it was actually about February. About a month later, I actually went vegetarian. And I started feeling better right away, but I just, it took me quite a while to get to whole food plant-based. But I started in February with vegetarian. And then I went back in March. That would have been April. I went back. My A1C was down to 5.2. And he wanted to start me on statins. And at that point, even though my cholesterol was fine, and at that point, I just said, you know what, I want to go see a different doctor. I actually went and found a different endo. I went to that appointment. He's the one that suggested plant-based. He said, don't eat junk vegan. You actually need to go whole foods plant-based. And he referred me to a dietitian. At that point, I went and got help from a dietitian who really who really helped me in that part. It really wasn't until about, I want to say October, that I went 100% and just said, I'm all in. And then as soon as that happened, I immediately started going hypoglycemic. They started reducing my meds. I was working out really on an athletic level, still going hypoglycemic, and then I was finally off meds and 100% in February. I did not sign up for the Mastering Diabetes until I was already off medicine. I had done all of that on my own, just following the studies and doing the best that I could with the knowledge that I had. It was a lot of trial and error. I would do so good for a month, and then I would get a lot of peer pressure. And then I would make choices that I knew I didn't want to make. But I think I had to go through all that to really, I remember I had gone almost 6 weeks without eating meat, and then I went and ate some, and I instantly got sick. I started learning how to intuitively eat and listening to my body, and I didn't want that. So, I had, there's sometimes that it's hard. It's 40 years of habits that I'm trying to break. There was no problem as far as committing it, but what I found is there's just not a lot of support out there. So I can't really talk with a lot of people about it. I get a lot of, where do you get your protein from? And you're a diabetic. How can you eat so many carbs? I mean, there's just no support. And that's one of the reasons why I joined and just kind of just hung out in the rooms for a long time to kind of see how supportive people were. So once I made up my mind, it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. I feel so much better when I eat that way, and my body resonates with it. I think it's when you get into social gatherings, and then I don't have much support from family or friends. Thankfully, my husband's doing it with me. I run my own business, so I'm either on the road a lot. I'm working 100 hours a week. Honestly, it was probably eating out 3 times a day. I would try to go and walk for a little bit, but then most of the day was sitting. The choices were a lot of fast food. They were very unhealthy choices before. Then when I switched to vegetarian, obviously we cut out meat, but I was still eating the cheeses. I think cheese was the hardest thing to give up, honestly. But once you finally get out of your system, then it's not so hard. But I don't know. That was probably the hardest habit. What a typical day looks like now is I usually wake up and I have overnight oats, which usually has like chia seeds. I do my, chia seeds, flax seeds, my almond milk, and then obviously the steel cut oats. I have that. Then I usually have a plant-based protein shake or smoothie before I go work out. After a workout, I usually have a protein bowl, which has like chickpeas, black beans, greens, broccoli, cauliflower. I'll have an apple and orange if I'm feeling hungry. Then for snacks, I eat lots of fruit. Oh, in the morning, I'll eat a banana with my oatmeal. And then for dinner, we usually just have, we cook a lot from like McDougall's cookbook, so the very low-fat, whole plant, eat a lot of beans. So it is just trial and error. That's what a typical day looks like. I eat about 350 carbs, about 30 grams of fat, and anywhere from 60 to 90 grams of protein. I feel lighter. I actually, I've always been into weightlifting. About 10 years ago, I wanted to go into competitive women's bodybuilding, and I was eating lots of chicken and animal protein and low carb. I'm actually lifting more now, eating plant-based, than I did 10 years ago, eating a heavy animal diet, which I think is amazing. I didn't think it could happen. So I follow a lot of the vegan athletes, and mimic kind of what they do to get more of the protein from plants. But I feel lighter. I feel stronger. I sleep better. Everything works. My body works. Before, to get into the girly stuff, I wouldn't have regular periods, and I have regular periods. I think that's important. Your body just works. As you saw my labs, all my labs are perfect. They have never been that way. Yeah, the other day my husband goes, "Have you been tanning because your skin glows?" No, just eating plants. I think that the most significant thing is when I was diagnosed, I was at 53% body fat, and I'm now down to 37% body fat. As far as other labs, I think what I was most impressed with is that, you always, at least I don't know if you, but out here in Utah, this isn't, we are a huge potato and meat industry. So to think for someone to eat is just not supported out here. And you always get the B12, the deficiencies, you're not going to get enough calcium. All my labs are perfect after eating for 6 to 8 months plant-based. So that was just a very happy surprise. My testosterone used to be off the charts too high. It's perfectly normal. This is from years before, not necessarily at diagnosis. Since I got off meds, I haven't gone hypo. I sent Robbie some of that data because I have the continuous glucose monitor. They're just nice and steady, and that's just eating pretty much like how I said I eat every day. My husband says, you seem happier, more energetic. I feel like I'm better able to, my job is very stressful, and I feel like I'm able just to blow things off and not carry them. I don't feel so burdened. I feel lighter. I feel happier. I feel like I have more energy to put into things that I want to, whereas before my day was literally work all day and go to bed sad, and I actually want to play with my kids, and it's just a whole, not necessarily personality change, but I just feel a different perspective in life, as in things that are more positive. My advice would be just to not listen to everyone else. Throw away everything that you think that you've read on the internet and just give it a try, because you know what, if it doesn't work, you can always go back. You missed out on eating meat for a couple of months. Okay. I mean, until you've tried it, you will not believe the changes, and it just feels right on so many different levels. Support. It's so important that you need to support yourself with people that believe in what you're doing. And that's why I decided to finally, even after the fact, decide to join the program, because here are other people that I can talk to that understand what I'm going through. You have to find your support system.